from the College by the Lake, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Local, regional, national, and international guests discussing the issues and topics affecting the way you live are on Forum, the North Idaho College Public Forum, with your host and moderator, political scientist Tony Stewart.
It has become an annual tradition on this program to do at least one show that deals with Dr. Martin Luther King holiday and the issue of civil rights. In recent years, we have often invited the essay contest winner from the Coeur d'Alene High School to read their speech and to be interviewed that they give in January at our annual Dr. King Day. For our viewers out of state, you may not know that Coeur d'Alene has grown into two high schools now, and for the first year we have not only the Coeur d'Alene High School, but we have a new high school called the Lake City High School. And we thought it was only fair that both high schools be invited to have an essay contest, and therefore we now have two winners. And each of those two students present at a 1,200 seat program in January to fifth graders that are from Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene. And today, here in March, as we air this program, we are welcome to the program. First of all is Sean Friel, who is the winner from the Lake City High School. And Sean, congratulations, and you gave an inspiring presentation to the 1,200 fifth graders back in January, and we congratulate you.
Thank you.
And next to him is Jessica Dempster, who is from the Coeur d'Alene High School, and again, congratulations for your winning and also the very, very inspiring speech that you gave to the fifth graders. We know you two are both on the debate teams at your different high schools, and that even though that you are competing, you're also great friends and very great cooperation, which is certainly part of human rights. We welcome Janelle Berg, who is a regular member of the panel and is an attorney in the state of Idaho, and she'll be joining me soon to question our two essay winners, and we're very proud to have them here. But we thought the viewers would really like to hear the speeches that you gave to the fifth graders back in January. And Jessica Dempster, we will ask you to present yours first.
Terrific. Just as I was on that day, I'm truly honored to be here today, still celebrating a wonderful man who with love and peace changed our history forever. As you know, I'm speaking of Martin Luther King Jr., and I also think it's great to talk to a group of fifth graders, so that means you're in elementary school. Well, as you may know, there's nothing elementary about hate and discrimination. Meanie, stupid, brace face. Stop and think about what I'm saying. Stop and think about how I'm making someone feel by calling them these names. Stop and think about how hurt I'd be if these words were being spoken to me. Every time we criticize someone or make fun of them, we're taking away their dignity, their pride, their self-esteem, and that doesn't make anyone any happier or you a better person. So stop and think about what you can do instead of calling names. Think about why you said what you said and what you can do to turn something negative into something positive. You guys are going to middle school soon, and you'll be doing a lot of work in groups, and you might just be the smartest kid in the class, but you need to realize that people won't recognize you until you help out. Instead of calling someone stupid for not knowing something that comes easily to you, let them know that you like to help them with the math problem, or offer them to spell a word that you're unfamiliar with. And I will guarantee that you'll feel 100 times better because you made a difference by helping someone. In those few minutes, you made a new friend, taught someone a skill, and restored their dignity in a way that makes that person feel good all day, and perhaps the rest of their life. You see, Martin Luther King Jr. did the same thing. He took the hands of thousands of African Americans and taught them how to gain back their dignity and how to peacefully fight for their rights. Dr. King said this in 1956, that love and nonviolence was one of the most potent weapons available to the Negro in his struggle for freedom. And like Martin Luther King, love and friendship in our world today are still two of the most potent weapons for change. I'd like to give you now an example of just how people can make a difference. In fact, just a couple days ago when I found out not only would I be giving this speech, but I discovered that one of my friends was doing it as well. His name is Sean, and you'll meet him later. He's sitting right next to me. Our friendship is a key example of how dignity can take place and how he's made a difference by helping me. You see, Sean and I used to debate. Debate is a kind of competition, but you use your thoughts and ideas instead of your arms and legs, like an athletic sport, and you do it in a nice way, argue back and forth according to a topic. And we used to do it at the same school. As you well might know, the two high schools split up, and so did we. But there's a twist. Sean came into the debate 1 year later than I, so I took on a leadership role and helped him out by teaching him some basics. And the first time in direct competition we had to debate each other this year. I'll be totally honest, it was hard because we were such good friends. But after it was done, I realized that Sean turned out to be a pretty awesome debater, and that made me feel more dignified than ever. But it didn't stop there. Now that our schools are split up, I got a new teacher that isn't familiar with the style of debate I know. So even though Sean came into debate 1 year later than I now ask him for help. He has never said to me, "No, Jessica, you're stupid. I can't believe you're asking me for help." Instead, much like Dr. King did, he listened to what I needed help with, then supported me and opened his heart wide enough to make a difference in my life. Oh, and in case you're wondering, Sean and I have only debated twice, and I won one debate and he won the other. Our situation just shows that even when you're in the heat of a moment like debate, you can always find time to help someone and make a difference. So I encourage all of you to follow in Dr. King's footsteps and start to make a difference in people's lives, because our world is just too big to do it by ourselves. I am proud to say that we have made progress in this constant stream of dreams and frustrations, happiness and fears. And today, years later, as a prominent and most renowned and respected civil rights leader rests in peace, we no longer have to fear the loss of dignity, like Martin Luther King Jr. did when he spoke these passionate words in 1963. We can never be satisfied as long as our children are robbed of their dignity by signs saying that for whites only. The children he was talking about are ones just like you and me. And now, thanks to that incredible man, we don't just have to worry about signs that say for whites only, but we must be cautious of signs that radiate hate, ones like name-calling, selfishness, peer pressure, and discrimination in any form. So it's up to you today to stop building signs to hurt people and to start tearing down the wall that bigotry made by providing human dignity for all and making a difference by helping someone. Regardless of race, religion, sex, color, heritage, age, or background, just know that it is you as young leaders that need to take on this responsibility. So stop and think about this. We are all different, but equal, and we must stand hand in hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you joined our program in progress, that was Jessica Dempster. She is with the Coeur d'Alene High School, and she was the Dr. Martin Luther King essay winner for 1995. And as I introduced at the beginning of the program, Lake City High School also had a winner. We're equally delighted to have Sean Friel to present his essay that they both presented in January at the Martin Luther King event.
I would like to say as well that I'm very honored to be here, and it's a very honor to do this. Martin Luther King Jr. was a man of impressive moral presence who devoted his life to the fight for equality among everyone. Born on January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, he was the second of 3 children of the Reverend Martin and Mrs. Alberta Williams King. He received 3 college degrees, 2 of which were bachelor's degrees in sociology and theology, and a doctorate in philosophy. On December 1, 1955, Dr. King successfully led a boycott known as the Montgomery Bus Boycott concerning segregated seating on city buses. In August 1963, he organized a massive civil rights march on Washington, D.C. These are just a few examples of the fight that King and many others led against the wave of racism that engulfed the people of America for decades. Martin Luther King was not only a man who was fighting to stop racism, but he was a man who was fighting for peace and harmony among everyone of the world. Bigotry and hatred is still a problem today that will only get worse unless we stand up, we unite, and continue the war against the prejudiced evils of the world. Moms, dads, brothers, sisters, Dr. King's students, grandmas, and grandpas led the battle against bigotry. And although the war is not over, we have made great steps towards civility and peace. The United States Constitution has been amended several times, including Amendment 13, Slavery Abolishment, Amendment 14, the Civil Rights. Amendment 15, the right to vote. Amendment 19, women's rights. Amendment 24, the abolition of the poll tax. And finally, Amendment 26, the right of an 18-year-old citizen to vote. To continue this battle, we must all unite and do our part. Every one of us must be able to look to the person sitting next to us and say hello. Stop the playground fights and stop making fun of people because of color, if they are rich or poor, girl or boy, American, Russian, African or Mexican. We must unite and stop the prejudice. Not tomorrow, not in a week or even a year, but now. Don't leave it up to your neighbor to continue the battle. It takes every one of us, young and old, to stop the bigotry. Do it now. Not when you feel like it, but now. My point is everyone must fight, and fight now. You and I are the leaders in the world's future, so we must set the policy and our beliefs for peace, for equality, and harmony now. I have a dream that someday all men will be treated equal. Men and women will shake hands with all men and all women. People will not have to worry about the bigotry and racism. Because I have a dream a sudden tornado of peace will whisk the fears away. The fighting will stop, and the Serbs can get along with the Croatians. Playground fights will never occur. I have a dream of no violence. Gangs will be non-existent, and all streets will be safe to travel at all times of the night and all times of the day. I have a dream of equality. People don't starve and freeze to death, and everyone can enjoy life. My dreams sound unrealistic and even far-fetched. But if everyone has these dreams and helps the world to achieve them, then we can carry on Martin Luther King's dreams, my dreams, and a better society's dreams. In January 1964, Time magazine chose King Man of the Year, the first black American ever so honored. Later that year, he became the youngest recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. On April 4th, 1968, King's body fell to an assassin's bullet. In the year of 1983, King's birthday was declared a federal holiday. Dr. King's work and spirit will never die.
Well, thank you too, Sean. Both of you are eloquent, and I know Janelle Burke would agree with me that they're great ambassadors of their high schools, and I've told Doug Criswell, the superintendent, on a number of occasions, it's students like this that illustrate what public education is all about, and we thank you very much, and we will ask Janelle to continue the questioning.
Well, they were wonderful essays, and you delivered them very well. And it's such a pleasure to have you here. I want to ask you both, what did you learn from doing this project? Let's start with Jessica. How did you feel, and what did you learn from doing it? Yours was a very personal, one-to-one relating kind of message.
Since the topic was human dignity for all and making a difference by helping someone, I felt that as fifth graders, to use a pragmatic example of Sean and I, because it's very fathomable. And it was really hard to sit down and narrow down just one person who's helped me, because there's such a wide variety. But I think overall doing it, just as a child learns to ride a bike or to read a book or to write a paper, they need to learn how to treat people, and I think that this program in essence does that. And I only hope that I touched 1,200 lives, but let alone one. I'm really excited about doing it, and I'm excited that I got the opportunity to really think about. You often take things for granted. I think everybody knows that, to think about who has helped me in my life and how I can help others.
And Sean, I called you Sean Friel. How do you say your name? Please
Sean
tell.
Friel.
Friel. Okay. Sean, could you tell us what happened with yours? Your speech had more facts and some dates and some more factual basis to it. What did you learn from the experience?
Well, first of all, when I was taking the speech, I wanted to make it where we remember Dr. Martin Luther King and some facts about him, yet I wanted to tie it to present-day future, too. And it kind of started a couple years ago. I went down to California for a little vacation, and when people would ask me where I'm from, I'd say, well, I'm from North Idaho or Coeur d'Alene, and automatically they'd paint a picture of me as I was a bigot or a racist, because of North Idaho. And so really that kind of upset me in a way, because here I felt like they were prejudiced against me because of the place I was from. And in essence, not all of us are like that. And so that's what kind of fueled my fire, you might say, in this speech and how I felt.
Well, both of you are so mature and you're so eloquent in your presentations, and we have a very broad-based viewing audience in a number of states and Canada. And so I want to give you an opportunity to just absolutely elaborate upon already the powerful message that you've given. And we'll rotate the other way now, and I'll ask Sean first. Sean, not only directing your comments at fifth graders as you did in the speech, but to the whole population. What do you see for the future? There's still a lot of problems, there's still a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of strife, and a lot of violence. What words of wisdom do you have for us, other than what you've already given, on how we come to understand one another better through our different cultures and diversity?
Yeah, you hit it just right when you said that we have lots of problems. We still do have lots of problems. I feel that it's getting better. People are starting to understand about the different races and sexes and stuff like that. They're getting more of an understanding. But I think as a whole, as a society, we need to stop bouncing back and forth between two different things. We need to find a focal point and go towards that. Probably my advice, I guess I could probably give you from Truman. He once said, those Republicans, they can't be for morality on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then for special interest groups on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday. And so you have to find a focal point, and that's what you have to shoot for. And you can't sway back and forth.
Jessica, you too have given a lot of thought to your speech, as you indicated, and so forth. What would be your advice to the many people, not only those who live in the United States, but we see a lot of strife in Europe, and there's ethnic strife in Eastern Europe, exactly. and we saw what's happened in other parts of the world. What would your advice be?
Well, I think that the key to obtaining the goal, which I think it would be neat to have a world goal of peace and love. I think that that's simplistic and that everyone in their own way can contribute to that. But I think that before we can achieve those two things, we need to start with education, and that's why our society, who has become less intoxicated with ignorance, is because of education and because of knowledge. And I think that it's special dedications to special people like this that educate people, and bringing Black History Month into schools all over America, I think that that's vital. And I feel that the only way that we can, in fact, be aspiring people and strive towards peace and equality and love is through knowledge. And so whatever programs may be implemented to restore that, I think that they should be.
Janelle Burke.
Before the program, we talked just briefly about peer group pressure today and how are things really out there. You're young people, and so often when we read about young people, we think that all of them are the same, they're all doing these things or these things. But on the other hand, rather than typecasting, it's easy to become optimistic when one meets young people like yourselves, who are thinking about very, you have wonderful goals and outlook on the future, and I'm sure you're going to have wonderful futures. But what is it really like to be a teenager today? What is it really like out there in the trenches? Are people becoming, do you think, more aware of the blessings of differences? And let's start with Jessica again.
Well, I like to think so. I went to a peace camp this year, and it was really interesting because we all got in a circle. There was about 50 of us, and we had to step forward and say what we have been discriminated against. There was a cheerleader. She said, I've been discriminated against because I'm a cheerleader. People classify me as ditzy. And someone said, I've been discriminated against because I'm black or because I'm Jewish. But one girl stepped forward and she said, I've been discriminated against because I'm a teenager. And that people often label all of us as Generation Xers, and that we hang out at, at late nights and don't really care about anything. And I think that that's a fallacy on a big behalf of society today. Granted, there are people who have problems and do that, but I think peer pressure has gone up in a way that you're more pressured to be more involved and to be a better person, as opposed to a couple years ago where you're peer pressured to do drugs and to drink. I think that people are gaining more knowledge and wanting to be more involved. So I think that people are being blessed for what they do and being recognized. I think that that's really important. A lot of the high schools that I've been to have special recognition programs for their students, for the people who have excelled in things, and I think that other people see that and are pressured to also excel. So in essence, I think that the peer pressure has reversed itself almost, and we still have the pressure, but it's a positive peer pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Sean,
Jessica,
how about you?
that was a good answer. We're labeled sometimes by many adults as teenagers as being rebellious little, people that run around. And maybe there is some truth to that, but maybe there's some good that comes out of it too. As I believe that kids now are actually more informed about racist issues and stuff like that than their parents and the generation before them. They want to stop that kind of stuff before it continues on, and so they have more knowledge about it. And as long as if we keep battling it in the high schools and even go younger in the junior highs and the elementary schools, that's great. And we need to just keep working and chipping away at it. We're making great strides towards love and peace and stuff like that. So,
do you think travel helps to learn, to know about those things? I know you mentioned your trip to California, but you've also taken other trips, and do you think that helps, the travel helps to broaden our horizons?
You bet. Just coming back from the East Coast not too long ago, we were in New York for, I guess, about 4 days. And when I first went over there, there's a lot of people that you have a hard time understanding what they're, especially the taxi cab drivers. You have a hard time understanding what they're saying. And by the time you leave, you start to understand that. And that's good, because once you start understanding, what they're saying to you and stuff like that, you get more of a concept of what the people are and their backgrounds and stuff like that. Just because they speak different don't mean they're much different.
And Jessica, I know that you've been involved in a human rights club, I believe, at Coeur d'Alene High School. Would you like to tell us about that?
Yeah, I would. I'd love to. Human Rights Club at our high school is based on a constitution which was drawn up about 4 years ago. And we started Human Rights Club to raise awareness in our high school against, high schools tend to be really cliquish, and I think that was our main goal. We sat down with about 30 kids at the beginning of the year and said, what do you think the main problems are here? There was drugs and alcohol, but as far as human rights issues stand, it was cliques. And so our whole purpose is to inform people. Twice a month we make huge posters with quotes from people like Dr. King and just inspirational things that tell people not to be racist or not to be sexist or not to, judge people by what they aren't, but rather on their merits. And it's basically just a conscious raising group, and we discuss and we celebrate important people like Dr. King, and our efforts are seen through our school, and we recognize people who go out of their way to make these efforts. But overall, it's just a conscious raising group, and we like to keep it up. It's a good program.
You were talking about education, Jessica. I've always said that the secret to getting along is for people to, through education, to understand one another. And Sean has talked about travel, which is important, and we're getting short on time, but don't you also think that modern technology, not only the travel you're talking about, but I'm thinking of the information highway and television in particular, that no matter where you live, if it is somewhat isolated, you have exposure to people and their ideas via television. Would one of you like to respond to what you think that does?
The information highway, it really does. It connects millions of people all around the world. And it's a great thing. You get different ideas. And that's part of education and knowledge, is getting different ideas and learning about that. Because I've always personally felt that you don't exclude ideas. You listen to them and you take them for what they are. And some ideas are better than others, but you need to listen to all ideas. And that's great, because you can get different opinions and different viewpoints from all around the world. And they're so different too.
And Jessica, would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, I'm not a computer freak, as I guess they'd be labeled. They break down every time I look at them. But anyway, I feel that television is actually big. For me, it's influenced me in many ways. Just in our government class, we were watching Separate but Equal about Brown versus the Board of Education, and that relates specifically to this topic. And it's really neat, because I think that there was the other 30 people in our class who had not really realized that there is African Americans in our school and why they're there.
I'm going to have to interrupt. I'm so sorry to do this. We're going to cut a little bit short today. I wish we had another hour with you, but I have to tell our viewers about something that's going to happen at North Idaho College. On behalf of Janelle, thank you both. You were inspiring.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I did cut the program a little bit short because I want to talk to you about the 25th anniversary. We call it the Silver Anniversary, taking place at North Idaho College, and it's going to be March 27th through April the 2nd of this year. In fact, it's coming up very soon. At North Idaho College 25 years ago, we started something called the North Idaho College Popcorn Forum, which is an unusual name, and we have speakers from around the world in the United States to talk about different topics. We have panels, we have workshops. On the 25th anniversary, we are calling it an affair with the arts and humanities. We're going to celebrate the many arts and humanities starting at 10 a.m. on Monday, March the 27th, and we would love our viewers to come and be with us, not only in Idaho, but adjoining states. There are activities every day, that Monday through Friday, and then again on that Sunday afternoon. I want to give particular emphasis to the fact that there'll be poets, and there'll be visual artists, and there'll be 2 plays, and there's going to be concerts, many activities, hands-on with photography and all of those things. There's a lot of publicity in the newspapers, and we hope that you will watch for that. But let me take just a moment to talk about 2. On Friday, March the 27th at 8 p.m. in the auditorium of Boswell Hall at North Idaho College, we will have from San Antonio, Texas, a group called Camp Logan. The crew and the acting cast will come in to conduct this play, which will be over 2 hours, and it is a gripping theoretical drama based on the 1917 execution of 19 black soldiers of the 24th Infantry. It is a very powerful play about what happened to them and the whole movement of integrating the Caucasian and black soldiers in our history. It's received many awards, and it is played at over 100 universities, and we think you'll like that very much. And there's $7 charged for that particular program. We also have a great concert on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. It is a ragtime concert with internationally renowned Pulitzer Prize conductor Gunther Schuller with the Spokane Symphony, and it will be in also Boswell Hall Auditorium. Tickets are on sale for $10. Gunther Schuller is a remarkable man, and he used to be in Spokane. As you know, he's in New York now, and he's graciously coming to conduct this great symphony afternoon with us. And for you who would like to be in touch with us, our telephone number is area code 208-769-3415. I just want to take this opportunity to let you know what was happening. And again, if you didn't have a pencil, I will give you the telephone number again. It is area code 208-769-3415. Many other activities are free throughout the week. Hope you'll be with us. I have the signal that we're out of time. Again, I thank our guests for this very fine program that they have brought to us, and I invite you to be with us again next week at this same time. Until then, please have a good week. I am Tony Stewart.
The North Idaho College Public Forum was videotaped live from the studios of Instructional Technology on the campus of North Idaho College for viewing at this more appropriate time. We invite you to join us again next week for another all-new edition of the North Idaho College Public Forum on this public television station.